Hi everybody and welcome to SA Rugby Magazine. Mark, let's get straight into it. Sale, South African guys, didn't take the knee. Is it a big deal?
I think it's a big deal to people who are constantly looking at South Africa and kind of looking at the history of South Africa. I don't think it's a big deal in terms of it's a personal choice. You know, yeah. I'm very much a supporter of awareness around Black Lives Matter. I also know that there are people who don't want to confuse Black Lives Matter with the Black Lives Matter movement. And I think that's where a lot of the uncertainty comes in. We've seen it in Formula One where certain of the drivers will take a knee, others won't, but they all wear the opposed to racism insignia. They just refuse to kind of be part of what they say is a cult, part of a kind of a brand extension. And I think what is noticeable is because there's 8 South Africans in that starting 15.
Well, some would say the only time they stood was at the start of the game, because it certainly didn't pitch up for the game.
Exactly. I mean, they were awful at the Twickenham Stoop. Faf and Robert de Preer. We expected a lot of the de Preer brothers, and especially of that halfback combination. And for them to go down 16-10 to 7th placed Harlequins was disappointing. But again, in South Africa, the media reports on the picture, the 8 South Africans standing, and it's like, we thought you had transformed. And let's also not confuse transformation with someone's personal opinion about whether they follow something or don't follow something. I would have questioned if they'd refused to wear the anti-racism t-shirts that Sale came out as a club and said, as a club, we are against anything that discriminates, prejudices, and that is racist. They had no problem wearing that because that's...
What does taking the knee symbolize? Well,
I think if you go back historically, it's symbolizing kind of the unfair treatment of Black Americans. And it's now just taken on a very different global movement. And some see it as if you support the Black Lives Movement, you take the knee. Or if you support that Black Lives Matter, you take the knee. And that, as I said earlier, is when others say, I support that Black Lives Matter, but I'm not taking the knee. And that was one of the big discussions and disputes with Francois Pienaar and the other World Cup winning Springboks.
Well, they're not the first people not to take the knee. There was 4 or 5 other people that didn't take the knee. I didn't hear anything about that.
There were people, and Manu Tuilagi was one of them, and he's not South African and he's not white. So the immediate inference was white South Africans who don't take the knee. I think that is unfair. It's unjustified, and and I don't think even when the Springboks play, the pressure wouldn't be on any player to take the knee if he doesn't want to. No. But if Siya Kolisi took the knee, or if any other player took the knee, no one would object to it either. It's when Siya spoke out about how it felt to grow up and be black as a young professional in this country, Yuri Roux said he has every right to speak. He's the captain of the country, he's a rugby player, and we must hear what he has to say. And equally, if a guy doesn't want to take the knee, he has every right not to take the knee.
Yeah, I agree.
But I would have liked it if they'd made a tackle or made a pass or kind of started the premiership with a ban. They were all very disappointing and a sluggish start, which again just highlights how important it is, the need for us to get some rugby before we go over and play New Zealand and Australia in a rugby championship, because they will have such a head start. They've gone from the Super Rugby tournament, now they're going into a North versus South tournament, where the first time you played you made your provincial debut, that's the island they attach you to, and they've picked 2 hell of a strong squads, and it's effectively a North versus South probables, possibles, All Black trial. So by the time we arrive in New Zealand, should we get there, and Argentina and Australia, they will be hell of a advantage just through 3 months of game time.
Yeah, for sure, Mark.
But our guys are back in contact training, and you asked about when we can expect it. I think 1st of September, later 2nd of September, we will be in competition with that 8-team. Well, I think they're talking potentially a 2-tier. The 4 Super Rugby sides, they play a home and away against each other, 6 matches, and then it goes into an 8-team Currie Cup. So, and that 6 matches is specifically designed for that Springbok squad to get some proper kind of match fitness and condition and contact before they go play in a rugby championship.
Yeah, it just seems like forever since we've seen a South African game, and it has been forever. I mean, it's getting a bit...
Yeah, I did speak to Edward Coetzee, the Sharks here the other day. He just wanted to know if they're going to still award the Sharks with the Super Rugby tournament title. And I said, I think we have to. South African conference winners, and international winners because they were top of the table when everything went to pot.
Yeah, and
So to the Sharks, they are the champs.
yeah, okay. And how do you think the Bulls are going to shape up in the competition?
I remember you kind of like saying that you've been very interested in the kind of appointments.
Only from a
they've
betting
made.
point of view.
Yeah,
Mark.
no, but from the kind of appointments they've made, and I think it was a bloody good appointment. Dwayne Vermeulen as captain immediately gives that team a little bit of something, a bit of gravitas. Gio Aplon been given a big leadership role as well, and to bring in youngsters. And I think what he has done there, and Jake's always been very good at that when he rebuilds a team, he goes straight to 7 or 8 of players who he knows are loyal to him, and he builds a team around that. And their first thing is, if we were losing by 40 points, we won't lose by more than 10. And then we're pox a win, and then they start getting a winning habit going, and then they decide whether they can play rugby or if they're good enough. And that's where he's fallen down in taking a team 2-3 years later. But there'll definitely be a massive improvement of what was there. And I just think he's got the spine of his import. He's got that quite. He's bought wisely. But it's again, how do they gel under him? But when I saw the appointment of Dwayne Vermeulen as the captain, I think that's definitely a step in the right direction.
Cool, I look forward to it. And let's pray that we get some rugby in South Africa soon.
Yeah, definitely in the next 3-4 weeks. Let's hope there's a team out there, and that the rest of the world looks at us and says, geez, they've got a great internal tournament going as well.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be great to see. Thanks, Mark, for coming in.
Pleasure.
Cheers.